Okay, so today we're going to start in lung bench just to find our breath. It's been a while since we've done this pose, but I really like this pose. So one block is on its highest setting. The second block is on its medium setting. And you're just going to take a few moments to get into that shape. Jetty, do you want a pillow while you're there? Okay, so we'll do that near the end then. And so the first thing we're going to do is just find ourselves in the shape. It's been a while since we've been here. So we want that second block underneath our shoulder blades and the first block underneath our head. So it really feels like our chest is being thrust up to the sky and we have the capacity to breathe. So almost like if your shoulder blade was a Dorito chip, that bottom part of it. Yes. I don't know if it is, but I just like that little corner of the Dorito chip. And then we're going to cool ranch, obviously. It's too hot right now to have that fun. Oh man. And so we're going to just start by just letting ourselves come into the shape and breathe. And so this week, I've been thinking about allowing ourselves to figure out how we can take in the whole totality of life. You know, it's very easy to take in the good things, but how do we allow ourselves to create space for what Susan Cain calls the bittersweet aspects of life? And so as you're here for the next few breaths, I just want you to notice where you can allow your body to soften into the support beneath you, where you can allow the body to open into whatever expansion wants to happen. And then we'll start to very consciously and deliberately shape our breath. So we'll take the next 3 breaths, just breathing into the belly, into the low back, into the pelvis. And you can audibly exhale if that feels good to you, but we're just taking 3 steady breaths, as low, as deep, as full as you can. And just allowing yourself to notice that experience. And then after you've done 3 breaths there, you'll take 3 breaths into that block that's underneath the ribs, seeing if you can expand the ribs wide, right to left, front to back. And just taking 3 breaths there and noticing how it feels to really push your ribs into the block, really widen the ribs wide and let them lift up. And then allow that to go and to soften. And again, any audible breaths are completely welcome. Yeah. And then after you've taken 3 breaths there, we'll just breathe into that space between the 2 blocks. So the upper collarbones, the upper parts of the backs of the shoulders, and you're breathing into the armpits and maybe into the fronts of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders, and just allowing yourself to take 3 breaths here. And noticing what it feels like to breathe into that upper chest area as fully and completely as you can. Great. And after we've just taken that last 3rd breath there, you're going to add all 3 together. So the next time you exhale, empty all the breath, and then you'll inhale and fill the low belly. You'll fill the middle ribs, and you'll fill the upper collarbones, armpit area. And then you'll exhale from the chest through the ribs and down to the abdomen. And you'll just take 3 breath cycles like that. And so this week I've been reading Bittersweet by Susan Cain. And honestly, I think it's probably a book that a lot of you would enjoy and maybe everybody should read. She's talking about bittersweet moments, the aspects of life that are both poignant and sad and joyful all at the same time, and what purpose that serves in our lives. And I found myself particularly struck by it because what she's asking for, in a way, it seems to be asking us to open into the totality of our existence without prizing one thing over another. And that's all you're doing right now on a pranayamic level. This is called Mahat Yoga Pranayama, which literally means the great yogic breath. And so as you take this last cycle of breath here, welcoming in all aspects of life and letting go of all aspects of life, just allow yourself to notice what you notice qualitatively in the breath, in the mind, and in the heart. So let's go ahead and start to change gears just a bit. I want you to tone the back of your throat, close the lips if they're not, and you'll start to invite your Ujjayi pranayama. And as we switch to this breath cycle, I want it to be loud enough for you to hear it. And as you can hear the breath, see if you can even out any of the bumps and jumps and make that inhalation and the exhalation smooth, steady, and continuous. And throughout our practice, the invitation will be to come back to this smooth, steady breath. And anytime I give you a different shape to take, your first impetus, as always, is to find stability in the pose and then find expansion and stability in the breath. All right. If your legs are bent, go ahead and extend your legs long. And then from here, let's bring our hands to the back of our heads. Hold your head with your hands. Remove that block if you'd like. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you will just let your head fall backwards over the block. And you'll maybe take a little bit of movement here in whatever way feels good to you, allowing a little chest opener to happen. Maybe fidgeting around from right to left, a little side bend, just breathing here. Some of you might do just a little bit of a contraction in the head where you can push more of your upper back into that block, but you're holding your head with your hands. And you've got about 3 to 4 breath cycles here, maybe fidgeting, maybe not, but it's completely up to you. And then at the end of your next exhalation, we'll go ahead and come to stillness if you're not there already. Continue to just hold your head with your hands. Bring your legs to parallel. Bend your knees. Some of you will do a little contraction up to look forward to your knees. Others of us will roll over to one of our sides and we're going to come up to sit. Once you find yourself up to vertical, you'll make your way forward onto hands and knees. I do encourage you to bring your blocks to the upper outer corners of your space. You might pad your knees with your blanket, but then you'll find yourself in a tabletop position where you'll take some cats and cows. And again, the impetus or the request is to just focus on the breath. So we just spent all that time finding your breath, and see if you can stay with your breath. Big inhale to find a cow shape, big exhale to find a cat shape. And you're just noticing, you're pausing and you're breathing and you're seeing what this feels like. And you've got 4 cycles going in and out of cats and cows. And after you've taken 4 cycles coming in and out of cats and cows, you're just paying attention to the breath. What is the totality of your experience? Yeah. Keep pressing the floor away as you round in, and keep pulling the heart forward as you arch the spine. Awesome. As you're ready, take whatever organic movement feels good to you. And again, you're allowing space for all of your experience to come in. The central thesis of Susan Cain's work seems to be focusing on this notion that, we are a nation that prizes happiness. Like literally, it's written in our Constitution. But she's talking about how the bittersweet moments of life can allow us to experience joy more fully, how allowing ourselves to experience or be with our experience of grief or sadness or loneliness or even, melancholy, she seems to say has a purpose. All right, let's go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Find a tabletop position first. I want everyone to lengthen their tailbone back. Draw their low front ribs in and reach your pubic bone back behind you while you keep that. Send your right foot back, tuck the toes under, straighten all the muscles, or rather straighten that leg and squeeze all the muscles around that leg, and then float your right leg up parallel to the floor. Now pause here, drop your outer right hip to the floor, lift up through that inner right thigh, and then again, close those front ribs to the back body, reach your pubic bone back, your tailbone back, and your heart forward. From here, keep the weight in your right hand, reach your left arm forward, and we'll breathe for 3. We'll breathe for 2, press back through that right foot, lift up through that right inner thigh. We'll breathe for 1. On your next exhale, lower the left hand, lower the right knee. Take a few cats and cows or any organic movement that you need to reset, and then we'll go ahead and try the other side. And again, you're just paying attention to the breath. Can you hear your breath? Can you feel your breath? Can you sense your breath? Awesome sauce. And then let's find ourselves in a neutral position. Again, hands underneath the shoulders, draw your low ribs in, reach your sternum forward, your tailbone back, your pubic bone back. Yep. Send the left foot back, hug all the muscles around that leg, and then float your left leg up towards the sky. Yep. Keep pressing back through that left big toe mound, left heel, lift up through that inner left thigh. And then we want to draw those front ribs in. Reach the right hand forward as you're ready, and we'll see if we can keep hugging that outer right hip back. Yep, as you lift up through that inner left thigh. Yeah. And you're pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. And at the end of your next exhale, the right hand comes to the floor, the left knee comes to the floor. Curl both sets of toes under and downward facing dog. Knees stay super bent, knees stay super bent, knees stay super bent. So as the knees are bent, let's hug your forearms towards each other, lift up through your armpits and then lift your hips high. And then again, notice the breath. The knees are bent and you're just breathing. Awesome sauce. The knees are bent and you're just breathing. Yeah. On your next inhale, come forward, hands and knees. As you exhale, draw the low belly in. Inhale, send your right leg back, left arm forward. We'll hold this once again. Okay, and so we've been here. How can you take in the totality of your breath here? Can you keep lifting through that inner right thigh? Yeah. Can you keep reaching forward through that left arm? You got 2 more breath cycles here, and you're pushing down to the right hand. You're scooping your low belly in to keep the low back long. Nice job. Next exhale, lower the left hand, lower the right knee. Take any cats or cows or organic movement that you need to. And you're just paying attention to the breath, noticing what you notice and how that feels. Awesome sauce. And then we'll go ahead and try the last set, last side. From hands and knees, inhale, send your left leg back. As you exhale, draw the low belly in. Lift the leg parallel to the floor, lift the right hand forward, and you've got about 4 breath cycles here. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. This experience that you're having, can you continue to breathe fully through it? Can you continue to breathe fully with it? And just observe and notice whatever happens to be happening. Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhale, lower the right hand, lower the left knee, walk your knees, ankles, and shins together, tuck both sets of toes under, and walk yourself back to our toe squat position. And so we're not going to be here for a long time. So I want you to sit as tall as you can. You're going to cross your arms for eagle arms, right arm on top, left arm underneath. And you're just going to take 4 little elbows coming up and 4 little elbows going down. And as best as you can, notice what happens if you push your elbows in towards each other and you draw them slightly away from your face. Does that intensify whatever stretch you might be feeling in the back of the shoulders? Awesome. And after you've done 4 sets, you'll inhale, open the arms, and then exhale, switch sides, and just 4 more sets. So we're just going to see if we can stay here for about a total of 12 breaths in toe squat. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing how full that breath can be. Yep, you're doing great. And after you've done your 4, the last 4 breaths will be hands interlaced, shoulder blades hugging back behind you. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And these are your last 4 breaths. And you're just noticing. You're seeing if those front ribs can draw back in, the tailbone can lengthen down. So we want to stay balanced in our experience of life. And again, after you've taken 4 breath cycles here, you'll release your hands. You'll come forward, hands and knees, and pitter patter your happy toes, having a happy little temper tantrum as you're ready. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe, noticing this experience. Awesome sauce. Take a counter stretch if you'd like. And some of you might choose today to also take a navicular stretch after this if you'd like. Sandy was excited by that one. And so, you're just going to take the navicular stretch, and you're all pretty skilled at this. And so you'll know what adjustments you need to be making for you, and you're pausing and you're breathing. You're pausing and you're breathing. And go ahead and switch sides if you haven't already. And I think this is one of those great stretches that, it's kind of painful when you're in it, but you like it once you're done. And I think that's one of the things that she's sort of talking about in her book. She's talking about how she loves sad songs by Leonard Cohen. He's like her favorite person, Sandy's making a face. But I haven't listened to much Leonard Cohen, but I watch a lot of movies and TV shows that make me cry and bawl, and I feel so much better after the fact. And her central thesis is that, by having these bittersweet moments, we feel less alone in life. We feel like there's more joy and release because there's other people that are experiencing the same things too. We can't always be happy-go-lucky and expect that to be okay. Okay, so now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and make our way back to downward facing dog. And we'll find ourselves moving on just a bit faster now. And so as we make our way back to downward facing dog, I want you to take a big breath in. Actually, I'll leave that there for you. And a big breath out. And again, another big breath in. That looks good, Roberta. And a big breath out. No, this looks good. Yep. And on your next in-breath, let's go ahead and inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And as you exhale, step that right foot between your hands. Take a moment to take a long, low lunge here, and then lower that back knee down towards the mat. From here, walk your hands to your blocks, turn your blocks to the highest setting, and then walk your blocks back so they're alongside your hips. So with that left knee still down, I want you to push into the right foot, push into the left knee, and it's almost like you're trying to curl your tailbone forward under in order to come all the way up. And then once you're there, you might choose to stay there. You might lift your left arm up. You might choose to stay here and just hug front ribs in, tailbone down, or you might grab the block that's on the right side of you and take a little side bend towards the right. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. You're seeing if you can draw those right under ribs forward, left ribs on top, and just take a nice side bend. Awesome sauce. On your next inhale, you could choose to stay here or you might come up. Some of you will lower your left hand to the floor and take twisted monkey. Some of you will stay vertical and just go ahead and grab that back left foot. So with twisted monkey, you would rotate towards the right, bend your left knee, grab your left foot with your left hand. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing. Yeah, there you go, Roberta. And you're just noticing what you notice. How's the quad? How is the breath? How's the body? How's the heart? Can the heart stay open? Can the chest stay open, regardless of what sensations we might be having? On your next exhale, mindfully release your left foot. Bring your hands to your blocks. Frame your front foot. Shift your weight back and straighten your front leg long. So we are going into half Hanuman. So straighten the front leg long. Shift thumb back and hands might be on blocks. There we go. And then you're going to pause. And as usual, we pull all 5 toes towards our face. Some of you will be still. Some of you will roll on that right heel, externally rotating from the top of the thigh. And you're just paying attention to what this feels like. And can your heart stay open in this moment? Yeah. Can the spine stay long? Awesome sauce. Next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward, low lunge. Listen very closely. Extend the back leg long, put your hands on the mat. Make sure the back toes are tucked under, and you're gonna lift back to downward facing dog with the figure 4. So your right ankle is going to cross on top of your left thigh. Keep your left knee super bent, push your butt up towards the sky, and we got a figure 4 going on. Awesome sauce. Yep, so bend that left knee, send your, and butt up to the sky. And you're just noticing that crazy stretch that's now happening on the outside of that right hip. No? So keep your left knee bent. Push your butt up. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your right foot next to your left. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Did we find something? There were things. Awesome sauce. Okay. Left calf things. All right. Let's go ahead and come forward into plank. And you're just going to take 3 breaths here. So we're going to put all of our back bends in a series a little bit later, but you're going to just pause here and you're going to breathe. And you just got 3 breaths in your plank. How can you find the heart open here, the tailbone back here? How can we keep our alignment as we come into all aspects of life, taking them all in another, expanding only into the joyous parts, but how can we expand into all aspects? Awesome. Next exhale, hug your arms together, lift your hips high, downward facing dog, and we'll go ahead and try the other side. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe, and you're going to pause and you're going to breathe. Nice work, guys. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, step that foot quietly between your hands. Awesome. From here, take a moment to be in your low lunge, and then you'll lower your right knee to the floor. Bring your hands to your blocks, turn them to the highest setting, and start to walk those blocks back. Curl the tailbone under and come up to vertical. Great. And then when you're here, we're again pushing into the right foot, pushing in the left knee. Are we breathing? No. We'll reach up through our right arm, and you might choose to stay here. You might bring your hand to the left block and just take a little side bend towards the left. And again, that right knee is pushing down and dragging forward. The tailbone is drawing under. The left foot is pushing in. And then see if you can draw those left ribs under just a smidge. So they come forward just a smidge. Nice job. Option to stay right here. Otherwise, we'll inhale and come up. And then whatever quad stretch you're taking. So some of you will just swim that right arm back to grab the right knee. Some of you will lower the right hand forward and to the right and use the left hand to grab the outside edge of the right foot. But you're just taking the choice that works best for you, and you're pausing and you're breathing, and you're pausing and you're breathing. That looks good. And you're noticing. And at the end of your next exhale, mindfully release that right foot. Bring your hands to your blocks, shift your bum back, straighten your front leg long, and take a moment to just be in Ardha Hanumanasana. And again, you're pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. How's that leg working? Are you rotating on the thigh, or sorry, on the heel, externally rotating from the top of the thigh? Or are you staying completely still? Nice work. On your next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward. Plant your hands on the mat. Tuck the back toes under if they're not. Straighten the back leg long. And actually, before you go anywhere, you're just going to have a looky-loo at me. So you're crossing the ankle over the thigh, bending the supporting leg, and your butt lifts up. And the more you can fan your tail feathers, the more you'll find the ability to find that stretch on the outer left hip. Different?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing, and you push your hands down and forward. You lift your happy inner armpits up and you send your butt back like, hello, peacocks. Here's my bum. Here are my feathers. And after you've taken your last breath cycle here, you'll shift. Yeah, you can actually do that, and it gives you a little bit more sensation, especially if you waggle that left knee. If you're ready, go ahead and lower that left foot down, back to downward facing dog. And maybe if you can, walk your feet back 1 more inch just to find a slightly longer dog. Let's go ahead and inhale and come forward into plank pose, Phalangasana. And you just pause and you breathe. And you got 3 breath cycles here. Just 3 breath cycles. And you're noticing what you notice. Awesome. Next exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Okay. Now all of this, I want us to come forward just a little bit in our armpits. Yep. Lift your armpits up, hug your forearms towards each other. Yep. Then from there, push your hands down and forward, lift your hips up and back, and see if you can keep your ears in line with your arms. There we go. Next in breath, inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Now I want you to open your hip a little bit. So keep the leg straight, but open the hip as though you're doing a dog at a hydrant. You want to, be a dog at a hydrant. On your next exhale, draw that right knee towards your face. Plant the foot on the floor. Pause. Hands might need to come to blocks. They might not. You're going to step your back foot in a smidge and spin it down for warrior 1. So slightly to the left. Push down through both legs and inhale, come all the way up for Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. Yeah, and we're just gonna pause and we're gonna breathe. And you have the option of what you want to do with your arms. Some of you will reach your arms up and overhead. Some of you will take Garudasana arms with the left arm underneath, the right arm on top. Some of you will just, do something else, but you're pausing and you're breathing. You're bending into that front leg. And you're noticing what you notice. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, unwind the arms, reach them up and overhead if they're not there already. And as you exhale, arms open out and interlace your hands at your low back. Hug the shoulder blades together, reach the heart and sternum forward, take a big breath in, and then exhale, draw your head inside your right thigh, right knee, right ankle. for a humbled warrior, and you're pausing and you're breathing. The outer right hip is drawing straight back. Yep, you're pushing into that left foot and you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice job. Keep pushing into that right big toe. Yep. On your next exhale, hands come to butt. Bring hands down the front leg to the floor, 2 blocks, and straighten that front leg long for Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. And then you just got 3 breaths here. And you're noticing what you notice. Can you keep drawing that outer right hip back? Yep. Keep lifting through that inner left thigh and pushing that left pinky toe down. Yeah. Nice work, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and inhale, bend the front knee, plant your palms. As you exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment to pause. See how long your down dog can be now. I did some crazy stuff for your calves, as you said, and you're just noticing what you notice. Great. And then let's inhale, come forward to plank pose. Once again, Fallenkasana, 3 breaths. And we're just being here for a moment to integrate the core, to integrate the spine. Yeah, nice. On your next exhale, hips high, downward facing dog, 3 steady breaths. How full is your breath? Can you still hear it? Can you still feel it? Is it filling the belly, the ribs, the chest equally? Is it even as it comes in? Is it even as it goes out? Nice work, guys. Left side, inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Now go ahead and open that leg. So dog at a hydrant, maybe stacking the hips. Yep. On your next exhale, step that foot quietly between your hands. Pause, maybe hands to blocks. Spin that back foot down for Virabhadrasana 1. And then very mindfully push into the feet before you bring the spine all the way up to vertical, finding that stability in the shape. Nice job, guys. And then again, maybe you keep your arms as they are. Maybe you take Garudasana with the right arm under, the left arm on top. Maybe you do something else, but you're taking 3 breaths. How do you take in all of life? You know, it's funny, like I don't like milk chocolate or white chocolate. I'm a super fan of dark chocolate that's bittersweet. My mom was like, that tastes like dirt. She's not a fan of it. She thinks it tastes like dirt. But to me, there's something very nice about the quality of it. There's the sweetness, but the earthiness. It's very apropos. Okay, gently unwind the arms, reach them up and overhead. And on your next exhale, hands come to the low back, interlacing the fingertips, awkward opposite interlace. Inhale, lift up through the heart. As you exhale, fold yourself into that inner thigh. And now that you're in there, notice that this side is its own unique animal. How do you draw the outer left hip back? Pushing down into that right foot. And then again, how are you breathing? Is it full? Is it steady? Is it consistent? The end of your next exhale, hands come to butt, and then they slide down the front leg to the floor, to the blocks, and you'll straighten that front leg long. And you'll just take a moment to be here. You're pausing and you're breathing. The front kneecap is pulling up. Yep. Without hyperextending through the leg too much. And then on your next in breath, let's go ahead and shift our weight forward, plant our palms, and step back, downward facing dog. Yep, and 3 breaths. 3 breaths in down dog. 3 breaths. Awesome sauce. At the end of your 3rd exhalation, you'll bend your knees and make your way to the top of your space. And you'll do that however you want to, but you'll exhale the breath before you do so. Yep. And when you get to the top of your space, you might grab opposite elbow, you might grab the back of your head, but you're going to take 3 breaths here. It's just a steady breath. Where is the weight in your feet? Do you notice it in the heels? Is it in the balls of the feet? Is it more to the right, more to the left? Can you make the weight be even? Yeah. You're just pausing and you're just breathing. Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhale, hands will release to the floor. Grab one of your blocks and slide it between your shins on the 2nd setting, unless that is not going to work for you. Yeah. Is that too much?
No.
Okay. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and inhale, halfway lift, hands come to the fronts of our shins, shift our weight forward just a little bit, push your shins into your fingers into your shins, squeeze that block, and then exhale, fold all the way back in. All right, one more time, inhale, halfway lift. Draw your shoulder blades down your back, awesome sauce, exhale, fold in. See if you can keep your fingertips on the floor. Inhale, bend your knees, reach your heart and sternum forward. As you exhale, hands come to heart center. Bring your spine up to vertical and then sit your bum low. And you're gonna squeeze that block for dear, 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 dear life. And as you squeeze the block, you're hugging your outer hips in, you're lifting your heart and sternum up. Yep. And you're listening to the breath. You're rooting through the feet, you're lifting up through the heart. Okay, last breath cycle here. Great. Next in breath, stand up. As you exhale, I want you to hug that block, drop your tailbone, squeeze the block and lift your heels. Squeeze the block and lift your heels, and then lower back down. You've got 3 more of those. So you squeeze the block, you lift the heels, and you lower down. Yep. And notice if you need to hug, sometimes you have to hug the outer heels in more to squeeze into that block. Yep. Nice job. And after you've done a total of 4, you'll lower the heels, you'll lower the arms, you'll close your eyes, and you'll breathe. It's been a while since we've done anything like that. And so you just pause and you breathe. The totality of life. I don't know about you, but there's certain things that I try to avoid because they're unpleasant, but that's not taking in the totality of life. It limits the amount of joy that I can experience, and it limits the amount of compassion, which is the funny thing. She says that our ability to be with sorrow is what enables us to have a greater sense of compassion. Awesome. So next in breath, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Mindfully release that block. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your left foot long and back. Great. Spin your left foot to the floor and then bring yourself up for warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Awesome sauce. Great. And once we find ourselves in warrior 2, see if your warrior 2 is as long front to back as it can be, if it's as wide right to left as it needs to be. And then you'll reach up through your front arm, so your right arm, and then you'll bring your left arm in front of you to touch your right left ribs. That's clear as mud. Yep. And you're going to reach up and then you're going to take a little side bend. And the only reason we're holding our ribs is to make sure this is more of a side bend versus a back bend. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing and you're reaching up through the right arm. You're pushing down through the left. Yep. Next in breath, return to Virabhadrasana 2. As you exhale, straighten your front leg long. Reach forward, out, and down to come into Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. And you've got 3 breath cycles here. How do you find a greater sense of openness in the heart? How do you push down into that left foot so you can engage the outer left hip? There are certain experiences that we all have in life that we like because they're so freaking challenging. They're not necessarily enjoyable at the moment, but it's a part of it. Awesome sauce. On your next in breath, let's gaze down to the floor. I want you to slide your right arm in front or inside your right leg. Bend your right knee and you'll come into extended side angle. So just bending that knee, sweeping the left arm alongside your ears now, palm faces down, and then use the press of your right arm into your right knee to reach your right ribs forward and up, and draw your outer right hip back as you push into your left foot. Nice work, guys. Next in breath, return to Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Awesome sauce. Take a breath in here. Yep, take another breath in here. Big breath out. Great. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. And you just got 3 breaths. 3 breaths here. Don't worry, we'll do a back bend, but just 3 breaths in downward facing dog. Okay. Now listen very closely. I want you to imagine that somebody's pulling your heels back. You'll inhale, roll your spine forward into up dog, keeping your toes as they are. So rolling the spine into up dog, reaching your inner thighs up and back, reaching your tailbone back, reaching your heels back. Yeah, and then on your next exhale, downward facing dog, low belly draws in, front forearms squeeze together, inner armpits lift, and you pause and you breathe. Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhale, empty all the breath, and then travel to the top of your space, however you want to get there, however you want to get there, however you want to get there. Yep, nice job, guys. And then 3 breaths in Uttanasana. Maybe you take a different position with the arms this time. Maybe they're behind the head, maybe you grab the feet, maybe they're behind the low back. Maybe you move around this time. Maybe you're completely still, but you're just giving yourself the opportunity to have the totality of your own experience by just being with your experience. Yeah, good breath. And then at the end of this 3rd exhalation, you'll go ahead and grab that block, slide it between your shin bones on whichever setting works best for you. And then inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Keep your fingers on the floor. Inhale, bend your knees, reach your heart and sternum forward. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, bring the spine up to vertical. And exhale, sit your pelvis a little lower. This time you might reach the arms alongside the ears. You might reach the arms forward, but you're going to sit for 3 breath cycles in Utkatasana. And again, we're squeezing that block. We're hugging our outer hips in. We're finding length from our ribs, or rather between our ribs and our hips, lifting the sternum up, softening the shoulders down if the ears are lifted. Yep. And then on your next in breath, you'll stand up, you'll reach up, you might look up, but your tailbone's dropping down, the front ribs are drawing in and back. Awesome sauce. And then you're going to take 4 of those releves again. So squeezing the block, lifting the heels. And with your arms over your head, it becomes a little bit more challenging. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you notice, what you notice. Good job. Awesome sauce. And then after you've taken 4 little releves, you'll take a moment to lower the hands, maybe bringing one hand to heart, one hand to belly, closing the eyes. And again, 3 breaths, 3 breaths, 3 breaths. Okay. So before we do a few more things, let's go ahead and this time bring your right hand to your left low ribs. Right hand to left low ribs. Inhale, lift your left arm up. And then we'll do a little side bend here. And again, you're squeezing the blocks. You're drawing your right hip forward, your right shoulders forward, and just finding a bit of squareness there. And then you'll inhale and come back up. And lower that one down. Move shoulders around in whatever way feels good to you. And we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So left hand comes to right low ribs. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, side bend over. I know, I like that. I heard some other yoga teachers say that this week. That's fantastic. And then draw your tailbone down, reach up, look up, stand up. I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one that says that. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing. And we'll go ahead and inhale, come up. And this one we'll be mindful of, but this is our back bend so that we won't have to do too much. But I want you to still squeeze that block. Your hands are coming into your pelvis, and you can just keep drawing your chin towards your sternum, and you can push your pelvis forward as far as you want, as far as it feels comfortable, but you're pausing and you're breathing. We're breathing. We're breathing. We're breathing. And then we'll gently come out of this. You might feel things pop in your back. You're going to take a moment to just let everything settle. Take in a couple breaths. 3 more breaths just here, letting them be loud as they need to be, catching your breath before we try out most of that on the left side. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Nice work, guys. Mindfully remove that block. Maybe hands stay on blocks. And then inhale, heart and sternum reach forward. As you exhale, bend your knees and step your right leg long and back. And then you'll take warrior 2 on this side. And once you find yourself in Virabhadrasana 2, you just take a moment to get there. Is your stance long enough right to left? Is it long enough front to back? And then you pause and you breathe. You root down through your feet. Again, that left hand will reach up. The right hand will come to the left low ribs. And you'll take your side bend here in Viparita Virabhadrasana. And you're trying to literally, having that right hand there helps you make it more of a side bend, a lateral than a back bend. Yep. Next in breath, come back to warrior 2. As you exhale, straighten your front leg long. And then inhale, reach forward, up and down, Uttita Trikonasana triangle pose. And you just notice, how can you find more expansion in the heart, more length through that left side? Yeah. And just 2 more breaths. How's the breath? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Where is the breath? Nice work, guys. Slight bend in left knee. Yep. Bring your gaze down to the floor. Bring your left hand to the inside edge of your left foot. Bend your left knee and find your way into extended side angle. Uttita Parsva Konasana. Right arm alongside the ears. It's okay to have the left forearm on the top of the left thigh if that's better. You're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're pausing and you're breathing and you're softening the face. Yeah. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, sweep the right arm back. Come back up to warrior 2. Pause here. Go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Turn both feet so they're parallel to the short edge of your mat. Walk your feet in if you're really mobile in the hamstrings. Walk your feet out if you're not so much. And then you're going to bring your hands to your bum. Reach your heart and sternum up. As you exhale, you'll start to fold in, sliding hands down, backs of legs down, backs of ankles, and down to the floor. And you'll take a few breath cycles here in Prasarada Padottanasana. And if you want to be still, be still. If you want to move around, be moving around. But you're just pausing and you're breathing. You're noticing what you notice. Letting the breath work, letting the body work. Awesome sauce. On your next in-breath, let's turn to face the top of your space, low lunge. As you exhale, step yourself back to a downward facing dog. And you'll just take about 3 breath cycles here. In your down dog, noticing what this feels like. And if you're happy as a clam, staying in down dog, you'll stay here. Otherwise, you'll roll your spine very slowly into that upward facing dog, reaching your heels back actively as you go, lifting the inner thighs as you go, drawing the low belly in, heart reaching forward. And then after you've taken that upward facing dog, if you're taking that, you'll go back to down dog, and then we'll all meet in child's pose for 3 steady breaths. And you're just pause and you'll breathe, and you'll pause and you'll breathe. And you'll notice what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? And you've got 3 more breath cycles in Balasana, child's pose. So if you want to move the arms to a different orientation, by all means do that. Some of you might want to swipe the hands back alongside the hips. Some of you might want to take prayer. You just allow yourself to breathe and pause. Great. Last 2 breath cycles here. Cool. The end of your next exhale, you'll gently release your hands alongside your knees, and you'll press yourself up to sit. Okay. So let's have our shin bones together. Let's bring our blanket over to our right, and you might start off with it just like this and then fold it so it's like this. We're going to go side saddle. So then once on your right hip, your right butt is going to sit on that. Your left foot is going to sit in the arch of your right foot. And some of you might want to bring your blocks somewhere easily accessible. Okay, cool. And then from here, our left hand is going to see if it can slide under. If that's not going to happen, we don't do that. Okay. And then you can take your right hand behind you, and you might touch your right butt. Might just hang out there. You might be able to grab your left arm. I have really long arms. Not possible for most people. And then you're gonna just sit up really tall, and then you're gonna take your gaze towards the right. Now we're pausing and we're breathing. And some of you will be happily content there and feel like that's more than enough sensation going on in your body. Some of you will drop your left ear to your left shoulder and you'll find a little stretch happening on the right side of your neck. Little, okay, so a little is probably an understatement of the century, but okay. And some of you will stay there and you'll breathe. And some of you will turn your chin down to your left shoulder. And that gives you a different, maybe not so little stretch on the right side of the neck. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then as we're ready to come out of this, you'll turn your gaze back. And then you'll gently bring your head out. You'll gently unwind the spine, release the hands. You'll come back through center, sitting on both shins, and you'll just take a moment to notice. That may mean that you need to roll the shoulders. That may mean that you need to do none of that, but you'll just take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. And then as we're ready, we'll go side saddle to the other side. So we'll take the blanket over to the left. And the blocks are just there in case if your arms need some support or you want to do a different twist. And then you'll bring your left hip onto the blanket. You'll bring your right foot into the arch of your left foot. And then that right hand can touch the right thigh. It might go underneath, the left thigh. It might go underneath the left thigh. And if you have really crazy long arms, you might just bring your left hand back to touch your right butt cheek. You might be able to grab your right upper arm, but you'll sit up tall and then you'll just turn your gaze towards the left. And some of you will stay right there. Some of you will drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Is this okay for you? Okay. And then some of you will pause and stay there, just letting that right ear drop to your right shoulder. Some of you will start to turn your chin down towards that right shoulder and you'll find a different neck stretch happening on the left side. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. And then as you're ready, we'll gently come out of this. So if the head was twisted, you'll untwist the head. You'll bring the head back up to vertical. You'll turn your gaze back to the left. You'll unwind the spine back to the right. You'll go ahead and sit back on both shins for just a moment. What? I know, right? I know, so sad. And then when you're ready, our butts are going to come to the floor and our legs are going to come in front of us. And some of you will sit on that blanket and just put it underneath your sit bones. Cool. And then we've got options here. Some of you may choose to sit here in Sukhi Randarasana with your ankles roughly underneath your knees. And some of you will bring your right shin on top of your left shin for Agni Stambhasana. And if you do that, you might notice that you need to lift your butt up and slightly to the left so your sit bones can widen. But you have the option to stay right here and breathe. You have the option to start to hinge forward. But you're just going to see where you're finding sensation happening in your outer right hip, kind of like that crazy figure 4 downward facing dog thing. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. You just got 3 breath cycles here. Did I forget twisted monkey on the left side? Okay. All right. I'm like,
rewinding 30 minutes.
well, I know when I did it myself one time, I forgot it. So I was like, did I forget it this time?
If so, we have to go back and then do everything after that again too.
That'd be bad, wouldn't it? Like, okay. Well, then we're going to gently come out of this. And if that right shin was lifted, you'll take that off and then we'll switch sides. So recross your ankles the other way. And then maybe you'll just stay here in Sukhi Randrasana and you can Sukhasana, and you can sit forward. Some of you will bring that left shin on top for Agni Stambhasana. And if you've taken that, you might need to lift your bum up and over to the right just a little bit. And then you can come forward and pay attention to how active that left foot is. That determines what's happening in your left knee. And you're going as far as you wish. And that doesn't mean it has to be deep, just as far as you wish. When you're pausing and you're breathing. You've got 3 more breath cycles here, and you're noticing where you can welcome more sensation and where you can just allow yourself to let go of more resistance. Okay. At the end of this next exhalation, you're going to gently come out if you fold it in. You're going to release that left shin if you took Agni Stambhasana. Hands will come back behind you. And we're going to just plant our feet in this really wide, super awkward shape. Hands come back behind you, and you're going to let one knee drop, and then the other knee drop, and then you'll come back, and you'll go the other way. And you'll do this a few times where you're going right to left and just feeling what's happening in your hips as you do that. Okay, and then after you feel like you've gone right to left both sides, we're going to straighten both legs out. Sit super tall in Upavista, and then you can fold forward as far as you want. And you can choose to just stay here as we awkwardly navigate being close to other people. And you might choose to come forward and do, we're not going for being cheerleaders necessarily, but that might feel good to you. You might sit up tall, you might take a little bit of a side bend and hold your head like a movie star sitting on the beach. But you're just gonna, I don't know if they do that. That just seems like something they do. They'd be like, yeah, I'm here, please take a picture of me. They probably don't do that, but you're just noticing what feels good to you in this shape. Awesome. Cool. And after you take 2 more breath cycles here, we're going to go ahead and move on to our last few things. Okay. So very mindfully come up, drag your legs together in whatever way you need to, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. Oh. Like, what? Why are we going back to that? Okay. And so we're going to make our way now into pigeon pose. So inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And as you exhale, step that right shin bone forward, right ankle towards your left hip. And for the moment, I want you to keep your left toes tucked under, left leg long. And you're going to find this crazy stretch happening in the front of your left thigh if that left leg is straight. And you can push the left knee down into the floor if you'd like, or straighten the leg off the floor, but you'll take a few breath cycles here to just breathe, hello, and breathe, hello, and breathe, hello. Some of you will choose to stay upright. Some of you will bend that back knee. Some of you will walk your spine forward, but you've got choices, and you're pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what works best for you as you're in your little pigeons. Taking in the totality of your experience, however that may be. And Jenny, is that okay? Okay.
I just don't want to squish.
Yeah, okay. No, no squishies. Okay, you just got 3 breaths in your pigeon variation, whichever one you're doing. And then at the end of your 3rd exhalation, you'll very mindfully make your way back to your downward facing dog. And then we'll try the other side. Well, see, but I wanted to prep you for it beforehand, I suppose. You know what? One of these times I should have you guys teach me a class. I think that'd be fantastic. Shavasana. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the other side. So as you're ready, inhale, lift the left leg up, draw the left shin to the mat, left foot towards the right hip. And then hands might come to blocks, but you'll keep that right leg straight and strong for a moment and just reach back and notice what you feel on the front of that right hip flexor, right quad.
I might choose to be in Thematically for your Shavasana.
I would love it. I think you guys have heard me talk long enough that you could easily teach a class for me. And then go ahead and take whichever variation you'd like. So some of you will walk yourselves forward. Some of you will bend that back knee and grab the outside edge of that right foot. But you'll just pause and you'll breathe. You know, sometimes I think that some of the things that happen in life are really moments for us to be able to experience the totality of life. There's so many spiritual teachers that talk about us being spiritual creatures in physical bodies, and that we come to have that experience of being human. And maybe, some of the things happen as they happen so that we can experience that. Me saying this does not mean I'm happy when these things happen. It's just trying to create a bit of perspective. All right. At the end of your next exhale, let's go ahead and start to come out. You'll bring your hands to the mat, tuck the back toes under, and make your way back to downward facing dog. And then however you want, you're going to bring your feet, bring your knees to the mat, bring your spine up to vertical, and you're going to lay down on your back. Now let's have your head this way. It'll make it easier for me later on. And so you can put on shirts. We're going to do 2 bridges, and then we're going to set up for Shavasana. Not socks unless you want them. That's true. That is slippery. So the first thing we're going to do is just find ourselves on our back and just lay here for a moment. And you just see what it feels like to have the body flat. And you just got 3 breaths here, letting yourself just settle in, letting the body be still, letting the mind be present to the breath, be present to the body. And then after your 3rd exhalation, we'll go ahead and grab our block or one of our blocks, slide it between your thigh bones in whatever orientation feels best to you. And then you're going to squeeze the block lightly, push down through the feet, push down into the upper arms, and lift your hips high. And so the arms can be wide for this first one. You're just going to notice what that feels like. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. You're squeezing the block and you're lengthening your tailbone down. And then at the end of the next exhale, you'll lower the hips back down. Okay. And some of you will choose to still squeeze that block. Some of you will choose to release that block. And then you'll do it one more time. And for this bridge, you might interlace the hands underneath. You might grab the outside edges of your mat. You might robe off those arms. You might do none of the above. But you're allowing yourself to just pause and breathe. And after you've taken 3 breath cycles there, you're going to slowly release and come back down to the mat. Take a moment to leave that block there for a moment to let the body settle. And then after your 3rd exhalation, you'll remove that block. Are you okay on your back for longer? Okay. So then the last thing that we'll do is we'll extend our left leg long. So draw your hands to the back of your right knee and draw your right knee to your chest. You might want your strap if it feels like your arms aren't as long. And you're just finding a little bit of a stretch across the front of that left thigh. And as long as you're holding onto the back of your right thigh, right strap, you can kick your right leg away from you so it's perpendicular to your body, finding a nice thigh root. Yep. Well, so it doesn't have to be straight, but it can be straight since you're already there. But we're just trying to find a thigh root. Yeah. Does that feel different in your pelvis? Okay, so you do that then. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then you'll gently release that, hug the right knee back into the chest, little compression. And then as you're ready, you'll release that foot and you'll try all this on the other side. So you can start by drawing the left knee into the chest, interlacing hands at the back of the thigh, extending out through that right leg. And then you'll start to kick your thigh away from your body, finding a perpendicular angle so the knee can stay bent, the leg can be straight. It's totally up to you, but you're just kicking the thigh away from you. And you're rooting it straight down at the same time. You're noticing that you can draw that outer left hip forward and into the inner right thigh. Yep. And the inner right thigh can roll down to the floor. Great. And then at the end of the next exhale, hug that knee back into the chest. And then you'll gently release the foot. And you'll make your way into whatever final shape or shapes you would like to do before we make our way to Shavasana. Does that feel okay, or does that feel too high?
I think it was okay.
Okay. Okay.
It feels okay. Does it look like I'm gonna fall over?
Doesn't look like you're gonna fall over, just looks kind of odd. Okay. Wondering, can you sit up just a little bit? Yeah, let's try this instead. Seems like, okay, let's have you come back and see if that feels any different to you.
That was too.
Does it feel better?
I mean, it just was different.
Okay, because it just looks like your chest is more open. The other one looked like it was more collapsed.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does feel more open.
Would you like an eye mask? Would you like an eye mask? And as we find ourselves in our final shape, I encourage you to take the opportunity to just allow yourself to really fidget until you feel comfortable. So we're going to complete or start this same way we've been doing for the past few weeks. So I want you to take a big exhale, letting go of all your breath. And then the next time you inhale, take a big breath in, deepest breath all day. And then a big breath out, deepest breath all day. Yep. And then we'll take another one, big breath in. Top of this inhalation, hold the breath for a couple beats. And then a big breath out. Yep. And then on this third one, you'll take a big breath in. Hold the breath at the top for a couple beats. See if you can suck in a bit more air. And then exhale, let it go. And that third one, you'll repeat 2 more times on your own. So you'll take a big breath in. You'll hold the breath at the top. You'll suck in a bit more air and then exhale, let it all go. And then repeat that one more time. Really drawing the breath in, holding it, seeing if you can suck in a bit more breath. And then exhaling and letting it all go. And as you let the breath go this time, I invite you to come back to your natural, involuntary breath. And with every inhale, you welcome the breath. And every exhale, you get out of its way. The bittersweet moments in life remind us that sometimes we just have to get out of the way of things as they wish to happen, trusting that something more beautiful will come. And so as you're here for the next few breath cycles, next few moments, I invite you to notice how much you can continue to welcome with every inhalation. And notice where you can continue to soften and release and let go with every exhale. I'll mind the time, and so you just allow yourself to be with your breath. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, take a moment to check in and just notice what you notice. As you come back to the breath, if there's any part of you that longs to linger here, by all means, hang out here. When you are ready to move on with your day, you'll invite small, gentle, nourishing movement into the body. And again, those that are in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those that are in movement, you'll gradually make your way to one of your sides. When you find yourself in one of your sides or on one of your sides, just stay there for a few breaths. And you'll just be there, noticing the weight of the body into the floor. And then as you're ready, you'll start to bring yourself up to a tall, uncomfortable seat. And you might elevate your bum on a block, you might elevate your bum on a blanket, but you'll just take a moment to sit tall and to sit well. And then as you just sit here, I encourage you to sit as tall and as well as you can. If you need to fidget a little bit to find your place, then you'll find your place. Some of you will want to bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly and just breathe. And as you're breathing here, you're really taking it in. So can you feel your hands on your chest or on your shirt? Can you feel the clothing against your skin? Can you feel your butt on whatever you're sitting on? Your feet, your shins against the floor, or maybe your other leg? Can you feel maybe hair that's touching random parts of your skin? Do you feel the skin being brushed by the air? The bittersweet moments in life, she says, are really impermanent ones. They're the moments that we celebrate as being beautiful because there's something impermanent about them. And how can we remind ourselves that everything as it is beautiful, no matter what it may or may not look like? Okay, we'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Go ahead and bring the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms towards each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. To that light, to that breath, and to that sound, we bow. Namaste.